other partners as well, just to have a discussion on rethinking your customer service strategy for 2022. And we'll be wrapping up the day with a great demonstration from Doug Gruber, our Senior Solutions Architect here at Creatio, and he'll be walking through service process automation with no-code, AI, and machine learning tools. So packed agenda. Be lots of great information for you, and feel free to always ask questions in the chat if you have them as we move through. As always, I want to thank our event partners. Without them, these types of sessions would not be possible. They're great in taking part in our presentations, bringing great information on different subjects, bringing thought leadership and guiding people to the best strategy on how to leverage no-code and process automation for the future. So thank you again, partners. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started with day 10. We're live now. And our first session is our thought leadership session with Sebastian Forget, who is joining me now. Sebastian, how are you?
Very good, yourself?
Oh, I'm doing very, very well. Pleasure to see you again. Can't wait till we're live with each other once again here, Sebastian.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Eric. So I'll start sharing my screen for today's presentation. Let me just share in here.
There you go. And I'll turn the floor over to you so everybody can pay attention. Have at it, Sebastian.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you, Eric. Let me just share in here. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm super pleased to speak about how we can streamline the customer service management with the help of low-code. So we have a great example today of a practical example of what we've done. And Eric, you know, I'm a big fan of Creatio, so I'm delighted to be able to share what we've done. A little about myself. So Sebastian, I'm an engineer by training, but entrepreneur by conviction. So I like progress, I like growth. I like when I'm on the early adopter side of things. We're gonna talk about low-code. That's something, we're super happy of this, even if it's not that new for early adopter, but the momentum it has on the market, that's great. We're a proud partner of Creatio for a little more than 3 years now. One of the leader in the North America, so super happy. So I've done some. I come from a technical background. Today I'm more in strategy and management, but really love. Always been working in CRM. So today's agenda. So I'm gonna quickly talk a few minutes about solution metrics, and then we're gonna talk about use cases. So what we've done for a couple of our customers with practical example and reason of why we've done it, and the impact as well on their operation and their customer experience. So as a joke, I always say at Solution Metrics, our customers are not the king, but customers are the king. So we're really worked with those enterprise and businesses in order to achieve excellence and deliver extraordinary customer experience. So a little about Solution Metrics. So Solution Metrics is a strategic approach to CRM. So we understand that CRM per se is not the end goal. So we're all about the overarching goals of CRM. Like today, delivering extraordinary customer experience is often one of them. Increasing sales, expanding in new territory, being more relevant, doing some marketing, and really be focused and specific on marketing to have a one-on-one approach. We're also about the business value. So we've done more than 400 implementations. So we give lots of best practices as well. So we're all about consulting and as well challenging the requirements that the customer will give us to say, okay, I believe we should be doing this way. We also have the technical expertise. So we have a bunch of guys here that are certified on Creatio on the technical side. Well, and we also understand that CRM is a roadmap. So CRM is a journey. It's not we install the software and you're good. It's a crawl, walk, run approach. The customer we're going to speak about today, we started, some time with them, and then we're growing with them, and we bring them through that journey in leveraging more and more CRM functionality. Now, what's great about Creatio is the low code, and we're going to speak about that today, enables us to create value more rapidly. And we create value on three main areas. First, we're creating value for customers, very important. So that's one of the reasons people embark on a CRM journey and on the local journey as well. They want to go faster to create value for our customer. Now, we also create value for the business, because with local, we can streamline lots of things that are either manual or are really clerical things to do. So there's a lot of automation we can do. So creating value for the business, and ultimately creating value for the shareholders, so they can reinvest into bringing more customer, which would create value. So it's a full circle, and that's what we like about Creatio. Also, Salesforce, we also partner with other platforms, and we see the low-code approach of creating value more rapidly is really, really strong with Creatio and the low-code that's built in. So let's jump to it. So first, some statistics. So one of our customer, they spoke as well. It's Mediska. So some customer experience statistics. So it's 5 to 25 times more expensive to invest in getting new customer than selling into your actual and retaining the actual customer. So what we've done for Mediska is leveraging the low code. Many things. One is they had the for the customer experience, when they have lots of customers all around the world. When they were calling in, it was a complex to build a 360-degree profile. They didn't have that, and we also did an order entry very, very rapidly with the low code. So they could, when the customer calls in, it was a little, they wanted to and say it was a great experience. Now it's an extraordinary experience, they say that way, where they call in and they get served really, really rapidly. Now it's and when we say the trends in 2022 is 88% of company prioritize customer experience in their contact center. That's what it is. So when they call, they're all about making sure that the experience is good it's not a transactional, it's an engagement. So that transformation happened at Mediska. So let's talk about another use case. So increasing customer retention by just 5% can increase profit between 25 and 95%. So that's one of our customers as well we're working with in Integreon. So that's what they wanted to leverage within their platform. So they have it's a complex legal process that they're managing within their CRM, and they wanted those steps of a more complex project to really be transparent. You may have dealt with legal process. It could be complicated, so that this legal firm wanted to deliver extraordinary customer experience. So that's what we've done with them. So and nearly 70, I'm going to the last stat, nearly 70% of customers are irritated when their call is transferred from a department to another. So that's an example of what we could do with Integreon. So as they're engaging with our customer, there's no more let me put you on hold and then transfer, and then that is something we could achieve with very rapidly with Creatio. And again, those cycle goes really fast on the low code side as well. So the implementation, instead of being if we're talking about Mediska, for example, instead of being a lengthy 1.5 years of what they were being observing when they ask other vendors how long it's going to take, and we came in and even it was suspicious, saying, how come you guys are so fast? So it's they believed us in some way, but they were skeptical because they were kind of worried that, and then we refer them to other customers that we're speaking today, and you could see how fast we could go into creating values and implementation. So another customer we're working with is Vitokinal. So and some stats, right? American will pay 70% more to do business with firms with great reputation when it comes to customer service. So it's a very big player in the pharma space, especially in the veterinarian. So they wanted to have a great experience. So they are visiting customers on site, and they wanted the experience to be great. So lots of make it simple for the rep. That will be an example of how the rep or the account manager can then give great customer experience. So by, for example, building this 360-degree profile was complex to have, working in silos, and really enabling the account managers to not only be entertaining a relationship, but really can provide all sorts of resources to their customer because it's at their fingertip. And the local enables us to and working with Duvino is as well to have, first, because the platform is simple to learn, Vitokinel is really autonomous. So we're supporting them, but also train them in order to be autonomous. So that's one benefit of low code. The other one is they learn how to embrace the change that low codes bring. So instead of going in a mode of, we have a version 1 and then 2 years later we'll have a version 2, it's more a cycle of improvement, and the communication goes that way. The change management also goes in that way, where they learn on how to innovate. So they have a lot of the innovation culture is really big over there, and all of that is not only to sell more, but selling more through extraordinary customer experience. So really understanding their customer, the different personas they're engaging with, as well as what are, what my customers and the people I'm interacting with, what exactly they are looking for. So great experience as well in there, and a good example of how low code can fasten the release cycle of creating value. And that one is important because when we say implementation, even if, yes, you need to do an implementation of the software, the implementation is broken down in lots of smaller mini implementation. So we're not looking at big bang approach, and that's a good example. And every example so far in customer we spoke about today, they are in that mindset. So low code is creating value for the business faster. That's what it is. Not only that, one of the value is, for example, Vitokinal, they are pretty autonomous. So in order to themselves, with the software to automate some process, they don't need solution metrics anymore. We're supporting them, but that's also a benefit. But at the pace of innovation that they can go is really, really, really impressive. Another example is, I have a delay in here, sorry, is access communication. So with access communication, great example. They were, and they still were not live yet, on AS400. So for those younger people who don't know what's AS400, it's a green screen where you have F1, F2, F3, F4. So if you have ever wondered why there's F key on top of your keyboard, it's for those people who were using AS400. That was the menu, right? So don't use the mouse. You actually put the F key. So you can imagine what type of technology they are in. Now, they were looking at different solutions to actually modernize their infrastructure and their customer experience, because AS400 is a great transactional system, but on the customer experience, it's not their forte for sure. It's a technology that can take lots of transaction, but absolutely not customer service oriented. So again, the local, that was the approach to, because AS400, the companies that have those have been there for like 10, 20, 30 years, right? So they don't want to redo everything they redone in the AS400 and take another 30 years to implement the same system. So we came up and said, okay, the local approach is the way to go. So what we could do is the customer experience will come from Curatio at first and rapidly recover ROI on those. So let's manage the customer Curatio. Let's do the transaction with the AS400. So we could uncouple the transaction piece from the customer experience piece in the phase one. So they could retrieve ROI more rapidly. And another example that they couldn't do before was complicated is 67% of customers prefer self-serve over speaking to a company representative. So that's the stat now in 2022. People want to self-serve. They want to have access to a portal, be able to do chatbot knowledge base on a mobile app, on a desktop, so that's an example of what we could provide very rapidly with Curatio. Again, not years, but in weeks, right? Go live with some technology. And it's estimated by 2030, then 1 billion service ticket will be raised automatically by customer-owned bots. So meaning they will will be able to serve way more efficiently our customer with chatbot and automated services. So that's what we're having the mindset with Access Communication as well, is be able to provide, building, again, the persona, the full customer onboarding, the journey you want your customer to go through. So we can automate some of that to deliver extraordinary customer experience. So I know time goes really quick here. Last not the least, 2 minutes, one of our great partner and customer, Saskatchewan Blue Cross. So all about customer experience as well. And we're actually doing, we multiple phases with them. And we some statistics. So 93% of customers are likely to make repeat purchases with company who offer excellent customer service. So insurance, they could be perceived as a commodity because policy here, there, $5 difference, why I should go there? Customer experience will create a difference. And Blue Cross is an insurance provider. So it's all about making sure when you call in, when you have a claim as well, to deliver extraordinary customer experience. We also work the underwriting process with them, which is normally on some, not normally, but traditionally was more back-end function. It now became a front-end function where we do interaction with the customer in order to craft the great solutions for insurance solution for them, both on B2B and B2C. So it's giving the tool to the business to deliver a great customer experience. And last stats is 94% of American customer will recommend a company whose services are rated as very good. So, that's what we could achieve with Blue Cross by the different references and surveys they done. Where can we get better from a customer perspective and improve that? And again, the low code, it's not an IT project of multiple months. Is okay, this month we'll tackle those 2-3 points. We have a communication channel, we do the change management, we make sure everyone understands what's the vision, and then the culture of innovation goes and you improve in a continuous way. So it's not a one-time implementation, it's really a roadmap. So that's what we could work with those customers is transforming a one-time implementation into quicker innovation cycle on the customer experience side. So I know my time is up. So thank you so much. Thank you, Eric. So I'll stop share right now. I could go for hours. You've seen that. So
Yeah, no, but it's an important topic, Sebastian. I mean, customer experience really is the last differentiator that we may have, right? Like that is the last true differentiator that organizations can do for themselves. But amazing presentation as always, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. I think I had the question here, and I think we gonna take this one, and then I think we're done. Can you please advise on where to start with no code in this case? The idea behind it is to create the best customer experience in my company. So where you start, this is where the low code is great. You start with the vision in 5 years. And then when you bring it back to today, you actually make sure what's the more important, urgent and important. And there's lots of things that are important, that urgent, tackle those as well. But you make it from the customer's perspective, but align it with the vision. Start with the vision of what your journey should be. Go with your customer onboarding, the experience they go through, ask them, they will tell you that your customer are really, really generous with you. Normally, when you ask them, how can I improve as a business? They will, first appreciate that, they will tell you. So you can, see the common denominator of all the comments you get, and then embedded with your vision, you can start with there.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, Seb, thank you very much. As always, and I guess we'll be talking again in a couple of sessions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sebastian.
Bye-bye.
All right. So very thought-provoking session with Sebastian. That leads us into our fireside chat session with Mike Grushenko and Valery Bikovs. Valery is with IT Expert, and they'll be talking about how a no-code approach helps to build operational agility and find the right path to digital transformation. So gentlemen, I will turn it over to you. Thank you very much.
So hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this session. My name is Mike. I'm Regional Director here at Croatia. And today I'm joined by a solution expert, Valery. Valery has extensive experience in implementing CRM and low-code solutions in enterprise organizations. So hi, Valery. How are you doing?
Hello. First of all, I would like to thank you for this wonderful event. Your events give inspiration to move on. I'm glad to share with you today my professional experience working with CRM system. Let me introduce myself. My name is Valery. I am from Latvia. I have been working in the financial sector for more than 10 years.
Okay, well, thank you, Valery, for this introduction. I know that you have extensive experience in implementing CRM software in financial industry. So can you tell us about some, maybe not obvious, but important steps that no one should ignore when starting up a similar project?
It does not depend on you're implementing the CRM on your own or using the services of third-party company. To succeed, you need a team. A team must be well coordinated, and each participant must fulfill this role.
Mm-hmm.
It is important to identify project goals and document them into a project charter. This will help you to be in the scope of the project. Besides, planning and scheduling of your resource play a key role in project management. It helps you to understand the scope of project ahead of time and manage or assign your resource accordingly. However, you should note that all costs paid to CRM system and development must be considered as a long-term investment in your business.
Okay. Okay. Well, yep. I think that makes sense, right? So coordination and alignment at the beginning, and then having a long-term strategy is a key. Well, yeah, thank you for that. So as you implemented several IT automation projects in different organizations, how have you adjusted your implementation approach to each of the organization? And did you find yourself making improvement with each new project?
My approach to implementation depended on company's organization structure and the complexity of the solution implemented. For example, the transition on old system to a new one can take long time, and it affects business directly because old system contains a lot of functionality, and the parallel approach take place. A new solution is implemented parallel to current system in use. Those who are using the system will not see major downtime. Once a new solution is tested up and running, it is switched on and the old version is switched off. And yes, I find myself making improvements with each new project. Issues in planning and risk assessment that I have made before, I don't do it again. For example, employees' resource planning should take in account unplanned absence, like sick leave.
Okay, that's clear. That's clear. Okay, so a smooth transition between legacy solution and the new system is a key, right? And actually today, trends have shifted from solely focusing on customer experience, right, and the business outcome to ensuring outstanding employee experience as well. I know you have expertise with internal workflow automation. Can you share maybe some insights regarding the difference employee experience makes?
Definitely. Employee success stories have a place to buy in my practice. Successful implementation of internal processes is a proof. One of them is fit in the portal cases. It simplifies communication between employees. The most striking result are speed up of data processing. The most rewarding part is getting feedback from the employees. It helps a lot of improve internal process. But the most challenging part is to stop to continue improvements in time, because sometimes it becomes unnecessary.
Okay, I understand. So still involving the end users or people from business during the implementation plays a vital role, as I understood, for the overall success of the project, not only focusing on the business output. Well,
Yes,
that makes sense.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's speak a little bit about the no-code, right? Because no-code is getting more mature and becoming much wider adopted by organizations in various industries today. So what role will no-code development play in the future of financial services specifically?
I think in the present and in the future, no-code will have important role because it affects the main factor, time to market. No doubt, the set of no-code tools will only grow.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, the analysts also predict a tremendous growth of a low-code market, right? And the main advantage of a low-code, right, is actually accelerate time to market. But then again, you can face the adoption issue. And is there a secret to ensure a high end user adoption rates for software solutions?
Yes, I have some secrets to ensuring high end user adoption rates for CRM implements. First of all, there must be advanced business users who can share knowledge, and also workshop with end users must be implemented in order to answer questions and demonstrate new features.
Okay, okay. So I think it resonates with a previous question, right? So we still stand on the point that it's important to involve end users as early as possible during the implementation process. All right, but what is more important for the IT leader then, right? To get a buy-in from the end users or from the upper management, and why?
I think that IT leader must find a balance between buying from end users and upper management, because both roles are important. To start project automation, you need an approval from upper management. And when you go live, you need an engagement from end users.
Okay, well, finding the balance is the key. Understood. So, and maybe apart from the low code, right? What are the other trends that will be shaping the software space in 2022, in your opinion?
The major trends will be shaping the software place in the next year are cloud computing. The benefit of using these services offer you flexibility to pay only what you are using. The next one, low code, no code technology development. One of the advantages is a fast creation of new powerful application. Next, continue to improve work efficiency. I want to emphasize that all of these trends are applicable to Creatio platform.
Okay, wonderful. Well, it's good to know that we are, developing, and it has a demand on the market, and it actually brings value to the business. Thank you for sharing your view on that. So maybe my final question for today will be regarding these huge transformation projects which large organizations are normally undergoing, and that's a really long journey, right? So, but when is the right time for financial organization to start their transformation journey, right? And how should an IT leader embark on such a journey?
This is a subjective topic when to start. Nevertheless, it works to start transformation process when a company is aware of the issues. IT leaders should begin with planning stage. Planning stage consists from evaluation of the current state, setting goals and budget approval. Transformation is a long-term process that usually requires significant investment in technology.
Okay. All right, so you have to be ready for that, right? In terms of the investment, people, resources, and the will within the organization. It's a complex initiative, right? And you have to align a lot of within the organization before actually starting over that. Is that a correct understanding?
Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Valery, for this conversation. It has been a real pleasure to speak to you today in our event, and thank you for sharing your expertise. It's been very insightful. So
thank you, Mikhail.
Yeah, everyone, hope you enjoyed this session. We're saying bye for now and stay tuned.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, that brings us to our next session. And today I'm actually joined by Tommy Hahn, principal at Volition Capital. And we're going to be sharing the success story that Volition Capital has had with the Creatio platform. So let's go ahead and get started. Hello, team. I'm Eric Hale, Director of Sales Enablement here at Creatio. My role is to align our strategic sales, marketing, and operations teams here at Creatio. I've been with the organization 4 years. Today, I'll be speaking with Volition Capital. Volition Capital is a growth equity firm that focuses on investing in businesses that are in high growth in owner-led organizations across the US and Canada. And today I am joined by Tommy Hahn, one of the principals at Volition. Tommy, thank you very much for joining.
No, thanks for having me, Eric.
All right, perfect. Maybe a great place to start would be to kind of, in your own words, describe Volition Capital and your role there, and what your organization is all about.
Yeah, totally. Volition Capital, just to give you some background, we're a Boston-based growth equity firm. There's about 30 of us, all based out of Boston. And our, mission and goal is to, as you alluded, Eric, to partner with founder-owned, high-potential software and technology and internet businesses with the goal of helping them grow to that and scale to that next level. Just some quick stats on the fund itself. We're have a little over $1 billion under management, and for us, our day to day, maybe as it relates to Creatio, we stay in touch with a lot of founders and companies, as you can imagine. We have a database of over 1,000 businesses and founders, and because these are very relationship driven, transactions, we spend a lot of time reaching out to folks, meeting with them, having calls. So that continuity in the relationship is important, where I think Creatio really comes in. And second of all, it's really the outreach and keeping folks updated, whether that be newsletters or updates on Volition's new investments or exits. And we leverage Creatio for both sides of the equation on a day-to-day basis.
Got it. Thank you for that overview. And I love, and I always, remember you guys coming into the office, and I love this saying, that you guys have: work hard, laugh often, make an impact. So words to live by, and it makes us.
We try every day.
Excellent. Yeah, that's something that we embrace here, and I think what makes us such a good partnership. So Tommy, I know that, internally, you've actually just recently launched, the Creatio platform. And within your experience, or in our experience as well, anytime we introduce any sort of new technology, we see that, it can be challenging for end users to embrace that new technology. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience thus far with the Creatio platform and how your end users are adapting to it?
Yeah, totally. So no, I think you hit an important point. No matter how good a technology solution is, it's all about that adoption. And we're all animals of habit. So whenever you want to pull out an existing system, there's a lot of pushback, especially from the business users that may have their day-to-day already figured out. For us, we've been a Salesforce.com user for about 10 years before adopting Creatio. And I would say the migration to Creatio has been very smooth because of a number of aspects, which I'll touch upon, that the team really helped us out with. I would say the first part is, Creatio as a solution is very flexible. So we started off by saying, how are we using Salesforce today, and what do we want to carry over? And we really used that blueprint to start off the Creatio migration. But thankfully, due to the flexibility of the platform, we could mimic a lot of the existing functionalities there. From there, I think it took a little bit of a think outside the box exercise. Our experience with Salesforce has been a little bit constrained, given the lack of technical knowledge that our business users have, and we don't have an internal IT leader that could really help us with those customizations. So we said, hey, within this platform that we've migrated, what can we do, or what was our wish list if we were able to do anything? So for that process, we got our most experienced analysts and associates. So we got 2 of them that are really the power users, the more efficient users, the more experienced users, and really help them, replicate their daily workflows that maybe was inside of their brain, but not necessarily in their, CRM environment. Just again, given the constraints on the flexibility side of things. So that's how we went about it. I think one thing that was important for us is not having too many cooks in the kitchen, and also making sure that there is a bridge between that business user knowledge and the day-to-day of the technical knowledge, which the creation team was phenomenal in the support and educating us on what is possible, and also helping us execute in the different workflow items that we wanted to create.
Excellent. Yeah. And that's great advice for the audience, right? Like, so anybody that is looking to make a shift, right? Being able to plan that out ahead of time and have an end goal in mind is key to any technology deployment in my mind. So, you had mentioned your former CRM. I'm not mentioning any names since we are on a Creatio event here, but your former CRM, you had mentioned that, it was, maybe a little cumbersome to manage. And I know that, during our initial conversations, you had mentioned that you had many consultants come in and try to reformulate and reconstruct and adapt that platform, to your specific business needs. Maybe you could let the audience know, what that experience was like. Did that get more complex for you? And really how, you decided to make that move to Creatio to kind of bridge that gap between, the business and technology.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I would say, maybe even taking a step back, we've always struggled, and I assume it's a common problem for a lot of businesses, where business users that have a lot of inherent knowledge that's maybe more habit, or it's really inside their brain programmed. And whenever we try to transfer that knowledge to a technical person to replicate and optimize those workflows, it breaks down often. There's too many nuances. You have project sessions where you think you've communicated what you wanted, but the end result from an IT perspective just doesn't align with that, and it just takes too much time and process. Not to mention that we want to continuously optimize whatever we're doing, so we need to have a way to continually be able to make tweaks and optimize so that we get optimal results, and that process itself never ends. So a consultant that we've hired, and we've gone through multiple consultants, I think the biggest challenge is just bridging that knowledge. First of all, we are not big enough to have an internal IT person to lead that process. So oftentimes we're bringing that consultant up to speed on both our business, our workflows. And every time somebody comes in, there's a different set of workflows, different code underneath the hood. So a lot of the times we spend time either cleaning up what's been done by the other consultant to achieve our new goals, or just really educating them on what's happened the last 5 years to 10 years instead of in terms of processes. So back to your question, Eric, how is that really stacked up over the years? A lot of disparate systems inside of our own CRM, which is interesting because it's one system of its own, and a lot of workflows and dashboards that don't really tie between each other because we're using a combination of different metrics and dashboards to get to different outcomes. So a little bit of duct taping here and there versus really having that true platform where everything's integrated and flowing between each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a common challenge, as we're talking to customers, right? How do we take all of that disparate data, all of that, because it's never a data problem, right, Tommy? It's how do you take that data, combine it, and make it actionable?
Yeah, the data is always there. It's about having one source of truth and having that integrity and fidelity across the data. And I would say, just layering on to that, as an organization, we like to give our business users a lot of flexibility in terms of how they approach their day-to-day. We're in the big mindset of hire smart people and let them just figure it out. And I think that's the beauty of building out a team. And, while it's important to have a foundation of a CRM and a marketing system, which we're using Creatio for, I think we don't want to limit that individual aspect of how people do work. And hence, it's not something we can customize from top down. And hence, the other solution was really, can we give access to our analysts and associates to somebody that can help them manage the technicalities and the tweaks attached to it. And reality is that is not possible. From a physical perspective, it's just too much time commitment for each analyst to be able to do so. And from a cost perspective, if we went down that route, we would need a lot of consultant hours we're paying for separately to have the little nuances by analyst. And I think this adopting Creatio has really given us the opportunity to say, hey, business user, there's a foundation here that we all share, but go do whatever you want to do to fit your individual needs and don't tailor it to the organization's needs. And let's see what the results come about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that that's also necessary in the planning phase, right? You have to align, that strategy with those users and collaborate, right? And bring them into the process. We always like to say that at Creatio, we're putting the technology in the hands of the business users, get them involved and collaborate. And that's where we really start to see success.
Totally.
Yeah. Tommy, as you're very familiar with Creatio, and you know that we place a lot of emphasis on no-code technology. We know that no-code technology it's not new. It's been around a while, but it was kind of brought into the spotlight in 2020, 2021, due to the pandemic. A lot of organizations realized that they needed to, shift gears pretty quickly, be able to pivot to different business models. Low code really became part of a lot of organizations' strategies. In your view, how do you see, no code, benefiting organizations, across the board, whether that's top line, bottom line? How do you see no code being able to help companies achieve their goals, whether that's an investment organization like yours or beyond?
Yeah, I think there's a couple topics in that question, but probably the simplest answer is it helps both top line and bottom line. The go-to is probably on the bottom line perspective. You don't have as much IT costs that you need to incur to undergo certain transformations. So that's the end result, in a way, if you go down an income statement. I would say more from a more strategic perspective, as you mentioned, every organization has known for decades there's a lot of small processes that you could automate and save a lot of time. Sometimes we just need that catalyst to make it happen. And I think, the pandemic was, one of those catalysts in obviously unfortunate circumstances. And I think, when we think about IT procurement and especially software procurement, there's a lot of different solutions out there that help solve different pain points. However, there can't be a solution for every pain point an organization has. So you can only adopt so much technology until you have too many solutions, and yet you still have gaps in terms of the things you need to automate. Because oftentimes it's very unique to organizations. Every organization, even within the same vertical, has its own little nuances that there isn't a vendor dedicated to solving every nuance that every company has. And Creatio, especially with the local no-code platform, I think helps us take, in a way, and I'm not suggesting this is the case, but a custom development-like approach where you can really customize it, but you're not taking the overhang of the high cost, the time commitment, the expertise necessary from a technical perspective, and the maintenance costs in the long run. Because we see a lot of custom projects. It works for 2 years, for 3 years, year 5. Whoever created it is probably no longer around, and then we go back to the land of, okay, how do we fix this, or do we create something new? In terms of automating the processes themselves, low code is very important. It just empowers business users to create whatever those solutions they need, which not only helps save money by not purchasing more software on top of software, but it simplifies the stack, and it goes back to what we mentioned, data integrity and having a singular platform where we can have a bird's eye view of everything that's happening within our sales and marketing organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are great points. And when we look at the ability to compose applications, right? We think that is the way to the future. That's really what we're hoping to accomplish with the Creatio platform, right? Is you have these out of the box capabilities, but you can compose them very easily to meet your specific business requirements, and then also modify them as those business requirements change. So it was great to kind of hear you say that. You had mentioned the ability to kind of automate processes. Can you tell the audience a little bit about maybe some of the processes you were able to create and automate within Volition?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, keep building relationships and maintaining them throughout our organization are very important. Mm-hmm. We always say an investment it's only as good as its momentum, and it's only as good as the relationships that come with the momentum. And hence, just because I met a company a year ago or a CEO a year ago doesn't mean they're going to return my call or they remember me a year or two later. So every individual has a cadence that fits their personality on how they want to help manage that relationship. I know some folks, like doing periodic email check-ins and have a conversation via email every month, for example. I know some folks like hopping on a plane every quarter and going out and meet in person, and everything in between, Zoom calls, phone calls. And that is the individual workflow aspect that, we wanted to really have hard-coded, meaning, without the negativity of it being, not flexible, but we really wanted that on a system, on a workflow basis. And every analyst and associate now has their personal playbook really built out. So, between the thousands of, folks that they stay in touch with, they get their reminder, hey, it's time to do this. And if they haven't gotten some type of response that they expect, it automatically triggers either a follow-up email or, a reminder to the XYZ. And then there's a case buildup for every, account that really goes from start to finish. And once you finish that, after a certain time period, it really comes back up. So we never lose track nor lose the relationship itself. So it's not one process that we've really automated. It's a lot of processes that sit within each employee that they've automated themselves. So as a collection of items, it's a long case management, workflow, call it, but there's a lot of nuances, individuality that's built in.
Excellent. What a tremendous use of the platform. So when we look at it from personalization to each individual end user, that's really where you're going to start to see the magic of the platform. And along those lines, I know that you guys are probably tracking the success of the platform. Have you been able to achieve any outcomes yet? Have you noticed any observations post implementation now that the system is live?
Yeah, unfortunately, we are not an organization that's yet mature enough to have a quantitative ROI, but I think we live through this every day. And from a qualitative perspective, the answer is absolutely yes. I think, maybe starting with the simplest things, the amount of clicks we're making compared to our old system, it's remarkable. Because our workflows are built in, you trigger one thing and it automatically scales and escalates and it gets recorded in our CRM, which is very important. Second, it's really the interoperability between the systems. We had a separate CRM, we had a separate marketing email system, and we had a separate email newsletter system. So it's really those three systems that we've managed to patch together in the past, and now there is that visibility of, hey, if XYZ events have happened on our CRM, we want ABC things to be triggered in the different systems. And because it's unified, it's getting that bird's eye view of what's going on, but it's also you have that confidence that if you trigger something on your CRM, it will definitely happen in the other modules, and it'll come back to the CRM. So we have a source of truth versus trying to guess between the different data silos.
Amazing. Tommy, thank you very much for this tremendous insight. I know that the audience, definitely has to appreciate, what you've been able to accomplish with the platform. Man, I wish I could have you on more and more events like this, or talking to my customers, because it really helps to evangelize the platform. So I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today. It's always a pleasure. We definitely appreciate the partnership with Volition.
Thank you so much, Eric. Happy to do it.
All right. Thanks, Tommy.
Bye-bye.
All right. All right. And that brings us into our next session. So we'll be joined today by Kirill Krylov. He's a technical architect here at Creatio, and Kirill will be sharing some information on our marketplace extensions for service. So this is how do we extend the core functionality of Creatio to other applications. Kirill, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, welcome. My name is Kirill, and I'm thrilled to be here. Today, we're going to be talking about Mapsly. Mapsly and Creatio is a great partnership and allows us to visualize otherwise difficult to imagine data. Creatio has a lot of information about contacts and accounts, your opportunity, your leads, etc. And some of those objects contain information about addresses. Mapsly is here to help us out. Now, Creatio has built-in maps, however, Mapsly takes it on a slightly different level. Let's discuss our agenda for today. First, we're going to introduce ourselves to Mapsly. Mapsly is as they say, is a location intelligence and automation for any CRM, and Creatio is one of the leading ones. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to install Mapsly. Then, after we have successfully installed it, we will configure Creatio and configure Mapsly to work together. The next thing is probably the most difficult one, and yet we're going to achieve everything with the help of low-code tools. We're going to do no coding, and we will add some fields and columns to our cases object and provide for integration. Let's get going. Let me switch my screen. And what I have here is an instance of Creatio. This is my local testing environment where I'd like to test all new applications. I have already installed Mapsly on my screen, however, I will go through the installation process with you. Now, when you want to install an application, the easiest way to do that is by going to a marketplace. If you click on the System Designer, and in the System Designer, you can search for installed applications. Now, this instance might be a little bit slow because it's running on my laptop, but nonetheless, let's look for installed applications. If you want to install a new application, just simply click Add, Install from File, or Install from Marketplace. If you're installing in the cloud, then you will be able to easily install it from the marketplace. You can find Mapsly on the marketplace by simply searching for Mapsly. Mapsly will be the first option. Now, to install the application is fairly straightforward. Just follow the standard application guide. Click the Install button, choose the instance you wish to install on, and click the Install. Once the installation is complete, what you will need to do is to follow the configuration guide. Configuration guide can be found right here on this tab. If you scroll down, you will be able to see the version that it supported, the type of database, and the environment that it can run in. But most importantly, you will see this download file. This file is the manual provided by Mapsly how to configure Creatio to integrate with that. First thing you will need to do is to create an account. I'm not going to follow through. I'm not going to go through creating an account, as it's a pretty trivial task. Just put your username, your password, answer a couple of important questions, be honest with the answers you provide, and you will be granted access to Mapsly. Next thing you will need to do is you will need to provide access to Creatio. Mapsly is a connector, and Mapsly is a separate application all on its own. The data that they process and all the capabilities that they give to Creatio are located outside of Creatio. So they need to log into your instance of Creatio to be able to query the information they need. For example, if they want to show if they want to build a heat map of your contacts so you can see how many contacts you have per state or per continent perhaps, then obviously Mapsly needs to download this address information from Creatio to their service, process it somehow, and show you the page. This is the reason that you're giving them the username and password. Now, once you have created the Once you've completed this step, the next step is to provide some key that Creatio can communicate with Mapsly. This is a two-way street, and we need to configure both sides of the equation. Now, there's some technical information what to do when you're on one version of Creatio versus the older one, and most of the time when you're installing in the cloud, you don't need to worry about any of this stuff. Everything is taken care of for you. But if you're running something locally, or if you're running some old instance of Creatio, you may need to go and tweak some configuration options. So after having done that, let's go back into our main application. I'm going to switch my browser to Mapsly, and I'd like to show you where we configure this configuration token. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go to System Settings. Inside System Settings, we need to search for Mapsly Adapter API key. A Mapsly Adapter API key is that password that we need to consume, that Creatio needs to consume to communicate with their servers. Now, this password is stored in the encrypted string, so I can't really see what it is. And the only way for me to access this encrypted string is by going to Mapsly servers and asking for a new one. So it's a fairly secure approach. Once you input this string, you will be able to configure it. Mapsly will be able to communicate with Creatio, and Creatio will be able to respond back to Mapsly. The information that Creatio sends back to Mapsly is limited, and only is just simply limited. It simply updates certain events when certain things get deleted, but that's about it. Let's go now to Mapsly main application in the main interface. You will find the app in the sales, but we will move it to service in just a bit. When you load Mapsly, it will try to connect with the API we've provided to figure out what are your map preferences. Now, mind you, Mapsly is not just for Creatio, it can service some other applications as well. So what you will see here is you may see here data from not just Creatio, but from some other endpoints, whatever they are. Now, in my case, we can see that I have configured account, contact, city, and cases. This is what we're after. Let's mute all the information I don't care about and only show the information that I do care about. In this case, I have I have two cases logged in the system, SR3 and SR86. If I click on the range, which is representative of a case itself, I will be able to see what's the case itself, or I will be able to see the subject, who the contact is, and some symptoms, or basically description of my case. I can easily see that the client has internet outage after heavy rain. And in SR3, similar story. The items or the fields that we show on the map here are totally configurable and are not limited to just 3. You can show as many or as few fields as you wish. You can show case statuses, problem, date time, resolution time, and whatever other information you want. But the bottom line is, why do I care to show that? Well, the reason we want to show that is because let's assume that you're a technician, or let's assume that you actually have a group of technicians who work for the company. Well, you have some tickets or you have some cases assigned, hopefully dynamically through some sort of a rule application. And in the morning when the technician logs in, he or she sees that, well, there are 10 tickets that they need to attend to. Maybe 10, maybe 2, depending on the complexity, of course. So I'm not sure about many different cities, but the one that I'm from Toronto, getting from left-hand side of the city to the right one may take you about an hour and a half. So if you want to plan your day, you need to account for it. For example, I have this ticket and this ticket. Now, me personally, I know that this is going to be about 35-minute, maybe 40-minute commute time. Now, my depot is located right downtown, or the company depot located about here. And this commute is going to take probably about 20 minutes. So if I want to offer my clients a good quality of service, I probably need to give them a window that I am going to show up. Mapsly is great at that because Mapsly can help us figure out the time it's going to take us from point A to point B, put it on the map, and help the technician decide which ticket they're going to service first. On the right-hand side, you will be able to see the routes. Now, by default, my instance of Mapsly is configured in such a way that I have this location, 1 Yonge Street, as my default location, or my depot. That means that every trip I start will start from there and end there. Now, obviously, your configuration might be different, but in my case, this works. So first thing, when I come in the morning and after having gotten my coffee, I'm going to get into my truck and I'm going to drive to ticket number 3 and then to case number 86. Now let's see how Mapsly can help me out with this. Well, if I just simply click on the ticket, I will be able to add it to my route. Or in my case, I can remove it from my route. And the only case that I need to service is case number 86. Let's remove this one from the route too. If I now zoom out, I will be able to see all my cases on my map. Now, Mapsly offers us option of different layers and limiting our map to only certain neighborhoods or certain areas of service. But if I wanted to add a case to service, all I have to do is hover over it or click on it and say add to my route. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out and let's say I'm going to add another case. I'm going to take this one, number 86. I'm going to add it to my route. Now I can specify the date and time that I would like to depart or arrive by, and then I can just simply click on Build Route. My route will be built considering my starting point where my depot is located. In this case, this is my head office where all the trucks are parked overnight. So I can see that from this address to this address to this address, I have 3 points to visit, and then obviously I have to go back. I can start my trip and I will be able to check in and submit the time that I actually check in. So the case information will be updated for those start times and end times. And this is very valuable, especially when we're trying to do time and attendance, but remote. Now, by default, when we're looking at Mapsly, Mapsly doesn't come with cases information provided. Mapsly can synchronize contacts and accounts, leads and opportunities, but not cases. So we need to do something internally to be able to configure it. One of the pillars of Mapsly is obviously to be able to parse the address and convert it to coordinates on the map so they can build it. Now, if we look at our case, or if you look at my case, the way I've configured it, and give me a second, let me load the page. I have simply added address information. So here are my SR86 and SR number 3. Let's take a look at SR86. I've added this tab by simply going to a section wizard and adding a couple of fields to my cases object. In this address, I've provided the string for my address, the city from a lookup of cities, the region from a lookup of states and provinces, and the country lookup from data source of countries. I now have all information required for Mapsly to map it. The next thing that I want to do is I want to be able to actually use the information from, let's say, contact that is here. Let me give you an example. Let's create a new case. Let's choose a contact here, and in my case, I'm going to choose Dorothy. And Dorothy already has an address. And the reason she has an address is because I went ahead and I added an address for her. So let's now go ahead and choose some SLAs and some other components that are required for service to be created. Now, I don't have really any SLAs for anonymous users right now, but what I can do is I can say it's an incident. Now, we are not going to worry about configuration item or assignee group or assignee period, but what we do care about is the subject. Now, the subject usually represents a quick line describing what the problem is. Leaky, can't spell, sorry. leaking basement, let's say. After having installed concrete foundation, we find that the basement is leaking. Leaking basement next to the front entrance. Okay, so let's assume that this is the case that we file. Now, this case can be obviously filed through various means. It could be a landing page, it could be a telephone call, it could be an email or SMS message, whatever it is. As long as we know who the person is and what the case information is, we will be able to map it. Let's save this case. Now, the case is going to be assigned a new number. In my case, it's going to be number 87. And if I go back to number 87, in my address, I will see that somehow this address just simply showed up. There's no magic here. What ended up happening is I've configured a small business process that copies the address from the selected user or selected contact to just this case's address. Let's quickly review this business process. We're going to go to a process library. All right. Let's review this business process. There are two starting elements. Something happens after change and something happens on after item is inserted. In both of these instances, I'm just simply capturing the ID of the record that is being modified. In here, you can see that I'm looking for, or I'm storing the ID of the case, and I'm setting the value of a unique identifier of the event after inserted. I do the same thing here. After the record has been modified, the record being case, I'm storing the ID of the case under change into a case variable. Now, a case variable is easy to see. It's right here, parameter of a type lookup. I then go and map it to this element just so that I have some additional logging to go by just in case something goes bad. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read the case. Perfect. So after having read this contact, what I can do is I can finally update my case. And my case just simply takes the address that I read from the contact, the country, the zip, the state, and essentially all the address information. Let's close all the unnecessary tabs. And what I want to do now is I want to demonstrate how this might be useful. So we have recently added leaking basement, and excuse my spelling. Let's go to studio. Let's go to sales. And in sales, we can go to Mapsly. Good. Now when we have all of our cases selected, if our case is not automatically picked up on the map, that just simply means that the time period for the case to synchronize has not yet lapsed. Now by default, cases will be synchronized, I believe, once every 30 minutes or once every 15 minutes, and you can configure this thing. However, let's take a look how, actually, you know what, let's do this. Let's click on the synchronize button while it's synchronizing, and I'm going to synchronize, I don't care for the account or the city, not city, let it be there, but I'm going to synchronize all the other cases. And let's take a look at some options that we have when we are configuring Mapsly. So here, when we're doing a case, first thing you can do is you can select your icon. Now, it could be at various sizes, all the way, to some monstrously huge one, or it can be something smaller. By default, it's 12. Now, when the case is selected, the only thing that I want to show is number and the contact, and that should be enough for me. However, when I hover or when I get a pop-up, I can select contact, subject, symptoms, and I can add some additional columns. Additional columns here are the ones that are defined on the case, and you could see that these are all case columns. So Mapsly offers us some fantastic customization options. Now I can see that my contacts are still being synchronized, and it might take a while as Mapsly needs to go through quite a lot of records. Now by default, like I mentioned before, it takes about every 30 minutes, Mapsly will go and query if there is new data, and if there is new data, it's going to have to go and parse, figure out if there is an address, go figure out what the coordinates are, and then eventually it's going to go and put it on the map somewhere. Now it says that the data has been refreshed, so let's see if we can find what the update was. So I have two cases here, but there's another window here that I forgot to mention. Table view. In table view, you will be able to also see all your information. Account, contact, cities, and a bunch of other ones. So in this case, we're going to say 2 cases. And here I can see that I have 3 cases, and some data has not yet been completely pulled in. There it is. It's coming. And it's coming to Pickering or Princeton. I believe this is case number, this is our Dorothy. So if I look at all my cases, there we go. So Andrew Baker, that's Kirill, and at some point I'm sure Dorothy is going to come here as well. Maybe I need to get out and get back in. Let's see if that works. There we go. So here's my Dorothy on case number 87. So after a little bit of time, the case is added and the technician logs in. I mean, it's not expected that the technicians are going to be logging in exactly the second that the case is filed. But after a little bit, several minutes, you will see that the cases are being added. And what we can see once you hover over the range is, here's your leaky basement, and here's the description, and these fields are completely customizable. So Mapsly offers us a fantastic option, or a fantastic add-on to map, visually display our objects, be it a contact or an account or an opportunity, and see where they are on the map. Now Mapsly has a lot of other features. For example, you can draw some radiuses here, some circles. You can see how many miles between various points of interest, especially if you're in the real estate business and you're trying to promote certain property. You can measure the distance to the best school districts, etc. So again, Mapsly is an add-on. It's very easy to configure. We can totally customize it, and if there are some features that are missing, then we can probably configure them with the help of processes, low-code tools that Creatia is offering, etc. Now at this point, I'd like to again go to mapsly.com and point out that if you have any questions, then you can find all the instructions, documentation, pricing, and anything else that you want to see about Mapsly right here. Anyway, give them a try, and we think that this is a great add-on for your service needs. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, thanks, Kirill. What a great presentation on our marketplace extensions. This leads us into our next session, guys, which is our digital circle. And I'm joined by a great panel of experts here. We've got Sebastian Forget, President and CEO of Solutions Metrics. Hello, Sebastian.
Hello, Eric.
All
Hello,
right.
Gabriela.
I should say. And Gabriela Gonzalez, COO at Go Virtual. Nice to see you again, Gabriela.
Thank you, Eric. Hi, everyone.
All right. Well, today we're going to be discussing rethinking your customer service strategy in 2022 and beyond. Talk about strategies, trends to watch, etc. Let me just stop sharing my screen so we can all fit beautifully on the screen for the audience here. So wonderful, guys. What I would like to kick off our topic with is trends, right? What trends are we seeing that are going to lead to success in 2022 and beyond when it comes to customer service? I know both of you live in this world. This is an area of expertise for both of your organizations. So what are you seeing as the trends that will lead to success in 2022 and beyond for customer service? I'll throw it out there, whoever wants to start.
Mm-hmm. So I can start if you want. So one trend definitely that's it's coming, it's right now. We talked a lot about in the past years of digital transformation and embark on the digital journey. For sure, your digital experience needs to match your traditional customer experience that you're having by engaging, in a traditional way with your customer. So both are super important and they cannot be siloed anymore. So I cannot interact with a customer who calls me, for example, without knowing the problem or what he visited on my webpage, what you've seen, what his track record. This is not, won't be acceptable anymore in a close future. So it's not like we have the digital thing and then we have the traditional ways of servicing our customer, and they're really siloed. So we talked a lot about the omni-channel experience and part of the digital transformation. So and the good thing about low code is it's not a 5-year project either, right? So that we can have some really rapid return on investment and then tactical thing that we can put forward. But definitely aligning the digital with the traditional is something super important. I'm pretty sure Gabriela sees the same or see the same thing as well on our side.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And yeah, I mean, to add on what you just said, Sebastian, customer experience is no longer an optional function to any organization, right? This is, and I would say the key word here, or the key aspect here is customer experience is all about how the customer perceives us and how they feel our brand, right? So that is very important, and this is one of the most critical things and strategical aspects of any company. And this has been changing in the previous years, right? What makes the personality of my brand, right, feel my customers on a certain way. And the word here is perceived. I also think that the previous, or what pandemic caused, all the changes, we all went from brick and mortar to a digital world. I think that this is very important to consider, because that not only happened to us, it also happened to our customers, right? So we need to focus on the digital aspect, as Sebastian just said. And it is not about one or another channel. The world now is omni-channel, so we need to focus on creating one single experience to our customers. So I think that is the most critical trend if we think of all of the changes that we've been experiencing in the previous 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that they're actually very, very good points. And Sebastian, to your first point, making that experience seamless, right? And you use the word omni-channel. I can go back a number of years when we used to call it multi-channel customer service, right? And it was multi-channel. And I remember that shift to omni-channel, because it wasn't enough just to provide service on a channel, right? You can open up channels, voice channel, email channel, other digital channels. But if that experience wasn't connected, it really wasn't the best experience. So creating that that same experience, that consistent experience across all channels is ultimately important, and what leads to that customer experience. And Gabriela, you bring up a good point in terms of that digital experience. I was at a customer a week ago where I visited a contact center for my first on-site meeting, and I don't know how long. It was amazing, and it was like a 200-person contact center, but there were maybe 50 people working in there, and I was like, well, where is everybody? Are they in different shifts? Are they working? And they were like, well, no, we have like 50 people in house to keep them spread out on the contact center floor, and the rest are home, working from home. So how do you create that digital experience for people that aren't in that connected contact center to make that happen? So very, very good points, guys. And I think you're absolutely right. It's the perception, right? It is that perception of customer experience. And Seb, you gave on your opening speech some great statistics around that, right? Like customers will leave your brand. You'll be able to increase profits if you're providing that better customer experience.
Absolutely. And you talk about having employee remote for customer experience. Once you're crafted the journey you want your customer to go through when they're dealing with you, being on site or remote, it has become okay. So that's why the journey you also need, and that's why one of the reasons of the low-code tools is you can give your sales or account manager or customer service people lots of tools for them and automation to better serve their customers. And then you can open that as well on the digital platform, so self-serve, chatbot, stuff like this. But once your people have the tools to serve their customer very well, it's really, really powerful, really powerful. And that's another trend we're seeing is make your customer service people are one of the, if not to say the most, they're your advocate. They're more than just a guy answering a customer question. They are your representative of the brand, so the customer experience. So give them the tool set and open the tool set as well on the digital way. So customer can go and serve themselves, and if they're stuck, boom, since you have the 360-degree profile, your digital is aligned with the traditional, when they call or they reach out to you, you can serve them. Because and Gabriela will probably agree on that. Making a mistake with one of your customer, it's never good. But if you behave super well and you say, we've made a mistake, here's what we're going to do to correct this mistake, it could be okay. It could be, you can come out of this greater than before because your customer will see, what, they really care. And at the end, that's what you want from a great customer experience. It's just not remodeling your problem, is making sure that your customer trusts you because they say, what, I'm having a partnership here. It's not just a transactional relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Definitely. And I would add to that, it is not just from the moment they reach out to you. It starts, as you said beforehand, whenever they're looking for information, how they find you, and the content that you make available to your customers to self-serve themselves in whatever query they have, whatever aspect of your product, and what we need to do from inside the company is understand the drivers that makes our customers contact us, right? And through which channel. And that analytics is very important for driving and for actually designing your journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is a great segue into my next question, guys. So since we are on the no-code revolution event here for Accelerate, how do you feel that no-code actually helps customer service organizations adapt to those new trends and help them form their strategy going forward?
Mm-hmm. So the low-code is a way to create value faster. That's how I see it. It's first, in the United States, the stats last week, there's 10.4 million jobs opening. So because the shortage of worker, 1 million of them is developers. So if you go first, there's an execution capacity that companies will have, and customer experience is super important. So this approach of low code or no code enables to create value faster, because you can have the resources in order to create that change and go rapidly on an execution pace that's faster. And what I like about the no code is it creates a culture of innovation, because people think, okay, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. It's not that complicated, right? Compared to a traditional IT project, when there you go to a software development lifecycle and a project management lifecycle that's quite complex, and there's releases, and so we know what it is, but there's always some risk. There's always some governance you have to put in place. While in the mindset of the low code, you say, okay, for sure, there's a way of deploying it. Don't want to mess up everything by throwing lots of things. But the culture of innovation supported by a change management strategy, very powerful. So those are my two preferred things that you can, that customer, they are my preferred, because this is what our customers realize by having a low code approach.
And the other thing, and we mentioned this before, the customer journey, it is not always easy to get to a point where you can say, well, yeah, this is the journey, and I implemented the journey into whatever tools you're using. So I think this flexibility is very important. I would also mention one thing that I mentioned in the previous talk. It is important to focus first in the happy path, because if you get crazy with all the features that you have, it is easy for you to get lost. So starting with the happy path and an MVP, and then increasing or improving at each wave, that is, for me, the best path to follow. But not forget about designing the future or the to-be state of your customer experience journey, right? You can start by designing that and the end goal, right? And then the way you're gonna approach to it could be in different waves, right? Of improvement or innovation, as Sebastian said. So really having a bespoke tool or having a tool that can adapt to those needs is very important. It is crucial because it will be also a great asset for you to adapt to what the customer needs, right? The end goal or your customer experience journey should be revisited every 3 or 2 months to make sure that it is still valid, right, for your audience or for your customers. The other things that I would add, and with a platform that is or allows you to create this bespoke environment, is the integration of additional technology, right? Self-service is very important. So your strategy in the self-service world would be crucial as well, and how it is linked to or how it drives your client to reach out to you, and then the journey, how it continues. Automation and also digital learning, because you can understand, as Sebastian said before, where you committed a mistake with a customer, right? And enabling the digital learning or some tips tips and tricks for your team in the right moment at the right time for a given purpose. That is going to be crucial as well, because it will allow you to improve anytime your customer experience and as well get and reach to the end goal that you said before.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that these are great tips, guys, by the way. Like, and you're, like I had mentioned, you're living in this world, you see this with your customers, and you've got a lot of experience helping to design this, for them. I'm getting the wrap-up message here, guys. So as we move to the end, we've shared some great tips on strategizing and how to adapt to these trends. Within the last couple of minutes here, what what other tips could we provide people that may be looking at improving their service operations or implementing no code within their strategy? What are our final tips for them, guys?
I would say one of the tip is always listen to your customer. One of the thing of the low code is whatever your customer gives you as a feedback, implement it right away. So you don't have to do, okay, this year what we're going to do, it's like Gabriela mentioned, it's a different mindset. You're always going to be improving with small improvement where you're going to find and recover ROI more rapidly as well. So be quick, be adaptive for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as Simon Sinek said, with the theory of start with why, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, right? So I would say there are like 4 pillars that you need to keep in mind. Build your strategy and build your leadership around your customer experience journey. The voice of the customer is very important. The third one is engineering, experience engineering, right? Like make it happen, right? And with low-code tools, that is easily more easy. And then the employee experience. You cannot make your customers feel something if your employees aren't transmitting it in the right way and if they're not happy with what they're doing.
Yeah, Gabriela, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's like such an important part of the journey that I think gets left out a lot, right? Service is not an easy job, but you find that service personnel are wanting to be helpful, right? They want to be able to address customer concerns and answer questions very very quickly. However, if they're not empowered with the tools, that job can feel cumbersome, and that translates into a poor customer experience. So if it's hard for an employee to address a customer question, that's gonna translate, and that's gonna leave a bad customer experience as well. So thank you for bringing that up. That's like a huge point. Well, perfect, guys. I think that this has been a tremendous discussion. As with all of them, we could probably use another 30 minutes just to keep talking about this, but we really want to thank you for joining this session. You guys have tremendous experience in this area, and I'm sure the audience has gotten a lot of good tips and advice on how to move forward with their strategy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Eric.
All right, guys. Thank you, Sebastian, Gabriela. We'll see you again soon. All right. Well, that brings us into our final session, guys. It's our no-code spotlight. We're joined today by Doug Gruber, solution architect here at Creatio. And Doug will be giving a demonstration on service process optimization with no-code AI and machine learning tools. Doug, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Doug Gruber, and I'm a senior solutions architect here at Creatio. It's my privilege to be able to share some thoughts today with you on Creatio service. So we're going to be looking at using service with some chatbots, a portal, talk a little bit about AI and ML, and just really try to show you how you can leverage Creatio service to meet your needs as you deal with cases with customers. Let's step back now and talk a little about the use case for today. The use case today is revolved around risk and mitigation. So you have a law firm that has customers, retail customers, and this law firm handles data breaches for their customers. So we're going to go ahead and kick off an interaction via chatbot with the risk mitigation company, asking for their help with a possible data breach. So as we look at this, down here in the right, I have a chatbot here. And as I open up and start interacting with it, I'm going to start entering some information here. Alpha Business, Alexander Wilson. Bear with me as I type here. I want the a phone number to contact and an email. All right. Now what should come back here is an interaction with the chatbot about some preloaded responses. So we're going to say I want to look at a possible data breach and possible unintentional disclosure. And then it's asking me to be transferred to available operator. So if I come over here to the Creatio side of things, you'll see here's I'm being prompted to interact with this chat. I'm loading the chat, and I'm going to say hi, Alexander, here to get that kicked off. And if I go back over here, I should be able to see I'm interacting here with the operator. And there we go. It shows up on this side. So we're able to, have an interaction about this possible problem. You notice over here on the left-hand side, we have a interaction screen where we can start a new case or campaign. Now, in their world, in the risk mitigation firm's world, they are going to be doing campaigns instead of cases. This is a good example of how you can configure a campaign that is based on the case object. And so, with the configurability of Creatio, we can name things whatever we want. So I would come in here and say, I want to start a new campaign. Alpha Business was the person we were talking to, or the company name, and show me the contacts here. And here's our friend, Alexander Wilson. So this form here that we're filling out to start this particular campaign is obviously built on our Creatio platform, and it can be configured to have the fields any way you want in terms of data collection. So we're going to say risk and litigation was the category, and we have a cyber incident response here. And I'm going to assign this to me right now. So you'll notice a couple things over here on the right-hand side. We have a SLA that started at this point based on what type of service and incident it is. This is very important because we have SLA agreements as the risk mitigation firm with our customers to ensure we respond appropriately in terms of timeframes. Oh, forgot to enter my subject here. So possible data breach. PII. I'm sorry, I let our chat go while we were talking about this. So, but I have enough information based on where I'm at. I'm going to save this. And after it saves, we're going to go ahead and start, open that back up again. And we're going to start looking at what we need to do from a case management point of view. So we have on our screen here our progression bar of the different steps that we've configured for how this case should be handled. And so as we take a look here, you'll see that there's immediately some tasks available to us to handle right out of the gate here. So first of all, we need to identify the applications. And it's important that we have these tasks as items that we have to complete so that we have an audit trail of the things we've done. So I'm just going to actually click through a few of these and say that we completed them in the interest of time here. These tasks obviously could take days to complete, but for time's sake, we're just going to go ahead and click through them. And obviously you can configure these tasks to be any types of tasks you want. And at any point in time, we can go through and we can look at the timeline here of the things that are being completed on this campaign. So as I was clicking through here, I'm getting a timeline of the things that have been completed. That's very important in this sort of thing with the audit trail and history if we ever need to. There's a phone call and it could be incoming or outgoing. We can tie this into your phone system and we record the fact that we had a conversation about a particular activity. If you needed to, we could even go so far as to actually record the conversation and make that a part of the record. You can send an email. Sending an email is through Creatio as opposed to just through Outlook or something gives you value again in that you can keep that as tied part of this record. That's what we're doing. As we go along, again, we can go back in the chats of different sorts if we'd like. A little later on, we're going to switch to a portal conversation, and we'll be sharing that conversation in here as part of the record as well. So lots of flexibility in terms of what we can do there. And then we're going to look to see if there was different types of data that were involved. And if need be, we could also escalate that. So at this point, we've been completing tasks, we've been looking at data files, things like that. And we need to decide, was there an actionable breach that occurred? So this is an example of you're kind of moving along the process and you want to have a notification right up in someone's view for them to decide what's happened. And so it's another way of completing a task and having a response collected that's a little more direct. So yeah, we're going to say there was, and now we're going to move on to the next step where we're going to review the artifacts. So we have to look at all the artifacts that were, a part of this. As we look through here, just a couple of other things. We could have additional contacts if we wanted to. We could relate cases or campaigns. We're going to look at letters in a little bit, and emails. All that stuff is then a part of this record. We haven't determined the number of people that were affected by this breach at this point, but as we fill out information, these numbers can be automatically calculated. So we also have a couple of recommended investigations that have come up here. And if I click on that, this will actually show you the ML model, how we created recommendations in the system. So you can have these ML models trained to go ahead and build predisposed investigations that you should look at. I clicked on the actual model just to kind of show you what we went through in terms of probabilities and such to train it. But it's probably a little too deep for today's discussion to look at all those assets inside the ML model, machine learning model. So I'm just going to go back here and continue on into our investigations. But you can have the system suggest activities then for you to continue on with. So in that case, the model itself, in this case, said to add determination of all the effective data, and that actually shows up in this list of tasks to be completed up here. So you can use this machine learning to not only look at data and look for trends, but actually suggest tasks for people to complete and activities. Very real time. Obviously, it gets better over time. It's more and more of these data breaches happen. It can be trained to learn exactly how to present the right activities to the right people. And so that's another really powerful part of Creatio. So we can continue on down through this, case and manage it. But I think at this point, we're going to switch gears and look at a few other things. So let's take a look at if we think about our use case, the fact that we may have, thousands or millions of people affected by this particular breach. Well, we typically want to send them letters and emails and have those attached to the particular case. So if we look at letters over here, we're able to actually have a bit of document management inside Creatio in that I am able to have a letter creation process and then have the actual attached letter be a part of that process. So you might have someone that's responsible for the campaign, like myself, John Best, in this use case, who's actually creating the letter. He owns the letter creation, and there's a complete process for the creation of the letter, the approval letter, and association with campaigns, etc. And so you can see that this letter has been already associated with a particular campaign or / case. And so as we move along, the actual letter then becomes an attachment here. And, we could have approvals set up to approve exactly the wording of the letter, all that sort of stuff. So, we want to have those letters. And as a part of that, you may email them, but you also might want to have a direct mail. So depending on the state and the rules in the country where this breach occurs, you might actually have to print the letters. And so our direct mail capability, if I click on this, we can actually pick the audience that we want to send the hard copy letter to. And, what is the letter we want to send to them? And then we have the ability to actually what we call generate a printable for that. So generating a printable basically takes that PDF or Word document, does a merge of all the audience, and literally physically prints it out. So this is another cool capability that you might find use cases for in your organization. You can see, though, in the context of our data breach, where that might be valuable. Let's talk about message templates. So here we have an email, for example. So this is a little different than a letter. So I have this email template, and we have the ability to create very creative email templates, but they work similar in terms of a document merge, where we're merging a set of contacts against this particular email, and then you can email it out. And so you can do that on a one-on-one basis, or you can use our mass email capabilities inside Creatio to mail it to a large number of folks out there. Is that up? Okay. So we've talked about a number of different parts of our use case. One thing I mentioned that we were going to talk about that I haven't talked about yet is really focused around portal. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. We're going to look at how we interact with a customer via portal. So if we go back to our campaign here. All right. So Alexander Wilson is the person that requested this investigation. Excuse me. And I'm going to actually click over here. So I'm going to exchange some messages with him in a few minutes. But let's go sign in as him in another browser window. So come over here. And I'm now signed in as Alexander Wilson. You can see that up here. And he has the ability, we're going to do a little refresh here. And we're going to be looking at the same case here, right here, case/campaign, number 109, which he started by doing that chat. So didn't get into a lot of details on that, but we could have actually been, and usually would be, exchanging emails with him behind the scenes, telling him what's happening as a part of the, the campaign that he opened. But if I open this up in the self-service portal, a couple of things, the self-service area is meant for very focused participation. And you'll see that we don't have all these options over here, just the very ones that are important for us. As we open up the campaign or /case, he sees a lot less information in terms of tabs and such like that. He's able to see the status of things. And, we can exchange some information. We can exchange attachments. So we were talking about the logs and things like that. Those could be dragged and dropped in here if we had an interaction going where we need to collect, log files as part of the PII, and that would automatically show up on the risk mitigation firm side because it's all connected directly. I'm going to ask a couple of questions here. Ask a question through here. And again, this information is going to be captured as part of the record. It's another way of communicating. I've showed several of those today. We click on the processing tab, we'll see that we submitted. We go back over here in our agent side here, we're able to see what clients are affected. You see the message and you can exchange things. Yes, we have identified the potential threat and the number of clients that were affected. Spell here. Yes. Okay. So we go back over here. Hit refresh here. And we should be able to see the message that was exchanged. So this sort of communication is really important, though, in these types of scenarios, because we want to capture all the interactions we have for legal purposes. And so whether it's an email, a chat, a text, or this kind of portal interaction, it's all available to us. You'll notice, just one more time to reflect on this, that our SLAs is ticking away over here continually. So the customer also has visibility into particular SLAs and our timing against those SLAs. So I think that's very important as well. I think our time's up at this point. I really appreciate you all joining me today. I know I moved pretty quickly, but I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the aspects of how Creatio Service can be used in your organization and some of the different communication channels and the machine learning and how it could help your organization advance in today's digital world. So thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Doug. What a great presentation. I'm sure the audience really benefited from seeing the no-code tools and AI and machine learning tools in action. So that brings us to the end of day 10, guys. Hope everybody enjoyed it. I just wanted to point out that we still have some exciting material coming up in the next few sessions. The next sessions will be focused specifically in regional aspects. So day 11 is focused on French Day, day 12 Spanish Day, day 13 German Day, day 14 Bassa Day, and day 15 Portuguese Day. So please be sure to join the session that applies to you. And on day 16, we'll be having a partner focused day, doing business with Creatio. And as always, I wanted to remind the audience of our upcoming Freedom product release that's coming up on February 8th. It promises to be an exciting announcement on product enhancements to the Creatio platform. It is our 8.0 release. It is going to be one of the most exciting releases that I've seen, at least here in my history at Creatio. So thank you very much again for joining, and we'll see everybody on the next session.